Here we are again with another episode of Beyond the Halo, Real Talk with Women in Ministry. And my lovely guest today is D'Etta Broam. And D'Etta is a deacon of health and wholeness in the South Carolina Synod of the ELCA. And she will be sharing and celebrating good health practices to strengthen and encourage physical, emotional, mental, relational, and spiritual well-being. And it's a holy and very essential work supporting the children of God of all ages so that they can work vibrantly and energetically to grow God's kingdom in our world as they uniquely are designed to do. And she has partnerships with a whole group of people, the South Carolina Synod of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, 3 Lutheran congregations, a child development ministry, a nonprofit, and 1 United Methodist Church, all within the area around Columbia, South Carolina currently. And there are potential partners also in other parts of South Carolina, North Carolina, and a couple of the states in the Southeast. So it could be a much bigger ministry. And the deaconess community is funding or has funding that will help jumpstart these efforts and collaborations. And Deacon D'Etta will be consecrated as an ELCA deaconess sister this coming Saturday, November 23rd, 2024. She has completed yoga therapist certification with East Coast Yoga Therapy, an International Association of Yoga Therapists accredited training program. And that happened just last Sunday on November 17th. So D'Etta, welcome to this little gathering that I've been doing for a couple of days now, talking with a variety of women in ministry, in various kinds of ministry. And you're starting in this ministry as a second career. And that happens with quite a number of women. So what is it? We talk about hearing the call. And oftentimes that's kind of, for women, what does this mean? What, you really, me type of thing. If you're open to it, would you share us a little bit of your story about finding out, okay, what does this really mean that I'm feeling the urging to do?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I feel like I continue to try to unfold and discover and hear this call. It immediately after retirement or towards the end of my education career, I served as a second grade teacher, a middle school teacher, a school counselor, a library lady through 30 years of experience with education. And as I was nearing the end of that, I just knew I couldn't keep doing what I was doing, but I didn't want to stop doing. And so my call came kind of in the middle of the night, hearing that song, "Here I Am, Lord." I will hold God's people in my heart in a new way. So it wouldn't be the same people. It would be new people, but I would continue to hold God's people in my heart. And also through leadership here at Pisgah Lutheran Church, the Deacon D'Etta Broam, and Pastor Stephen Mims separately said to me as I was sharing about retirement, "Have you thought about seminary?" And I, of course, said, no, hadn't thought about seminary. Nope, couldn't afford seminary. Nope, I could not learn Hebrew or Greek. And so, and just knew those were just dead. Nope, couldn't. And every time I would come up with some kind of reason why I wasn't a fit to move into ministry professionally, they always had another thought or a comeback. And so here I am. So yeah, it came as a kind of a tickle, kind of as a little nudge. It came as a whisper. It was confirmed by other folks. So now I have the beautiful opportunity to do all the things I used to do as a teacher and counselor and library lady, except God is in the room, and we get to name that, and we get to pray and sing and shout praises to God.
And I know because I'm a member at that same congregation. I've seen you do children's sermons and things like that. You bring such a wonderful energy to that, and to be able to incorporate not just the little children who are there for the children's sermon, but the big children
Right.
who are part of the rest of the congregation. So, I mean, stepping into this kind of thing, and you've crafted together a very unique kind of ministry. And that's, a wonderful thing but it's challenging to be able to do that. Uh, where are you kind of in the midst of that challenge?
Yeah, so we're still like we said that I love that word unfolding. It's kind of developing, it's growing, it's taking shape. And my internship with Southeastern Synod and North Carolina Synod and Virginia Synod allowed me to kind of test the waters. I worked with Pastor Justin Eller, who is assistant to the bishop in Southeastern for care and community, and so he already had the grounds kind of tilled for health and wellness opportunities. And when he learned about what my passions were and what my call was, he said, I think we could collaborate and work together. And so that was a summer of just kind of testing the waters. Pastor Justin works with the life of rostered leadership the whole life. He works with First Call, he works with retirees, he works with for everything in between. And he coordinates a program called Respite and Renewal. And so that's where I was able to plug in to give people tools for breathing and stretching and strengthening, because I have that background and that interest with yoga and that's taking care and how self-care is a sacred thing.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring yoga in, because there are people who, because of the background and where yoga comes from, which is not Christian, but see that as foreign, something that no, church shouldn't do that kind of thing. So how is it that you can bring that kind of, I mean, how do you think about it that you bring that element in?
Yeah. So I love through my formation efforts with the deaconess community, the idea to think globally and to be looking all around yourself and not just so centric, to try to be more worldly. And yoga is a tool that we have, just like mindfulness. Mindfulness comes from a Buddhist kind of perspective and background. And when you sit still and quiet, which we know is from our, Psalm 50, 46. Oh gosh, I'm going to get that wrong. I'm not good with numbers, but to be still and know, that to be still and know. Yoga has just given me tools to work with my faith and my belief system, and everything that I have delved into, and to be open-minded and to be curious about with yoga. It's always kind of just dovetail. There's a concept in yoga called ahimsa, to do no harm. There's an idea of cleanliness and loving other people and using your energy wisely. This all the same things that we're trying to accomplish through our Christianity. So I love that it's broadened my horizons, but the tools that I have been able to, with sitting still and quiet, stretching and strengthening and being stronger in my mind and body and heart, have been invaluable.
Yeah, and yoga, as I understand it, is very much a meditative type of practice.
Yeah,
and
it's a chance to create space. It's
right.
a chance for when you think of stretching, you're creating space. When when you think of sitting still and quiet, it's creating space to hear God's voice.
Right. And there's a lot with breath and the whole idea of breath as the Spirit of God.
Amen.
The Greek and Hebrew words both for spirit also mean breath. And so
I didn't know that. And see, I didn't study that, right?
it's true. Both of them mean, like Genesis 1, the Spirit of God moving over the deep. It's the breath of God, and breathing into the first humans, the breath, the life, the Spirit of God. And in John, first chapter of John, word and breath and life, Jesus, all of that, it all fits together.
Yes, it does. It
And
does.
it's just a beautiful metaphor, something that I love to think about
Yes.
as well. And it's life. It's life giving.
Yes.
When we are breathless, that's that's a problem.
Yeah.
And things like that. So it can be a wonderful gift that you bring in to people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And, we are tasked by God to take care of this temple called this human body as best we can. And we all need help with that.
Amen.
We all need help, including me, need help with that kind of thing too. So, and you're going to be part of the deaconess community. Now, there are a lot of people who don't know what the diaconate is. I happen to have had a great aunt who was a deaconess, so I have background in that. But please tell people today, what is a deaconess?
Right. So diaconia is when you think about diaconia, the church doesn't exist, without diaconia. Diaconia is being the hands and feet of our God out in the world, sharing love and light. And so when you think about how the church first took root after Jesus' death and resurrection, it was through the diaconate, right? And so that's a history, a rich tradition. Of being a minister, and we use the words in the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America, word and service minister, word and service, as opposed to a pastor who is word and sacrament. And so you'll meet deaconess and deacons that do all kinds of work for God in the world, whether it be alcohol rehabilitation, working as in a congregation, working with children and youth ministries, working with health and wholeness, like my call tends to be. We have a Sister Carol Burke in South Carolina who was a former employee and worked with the Fortress Press. Is that right? Augsburg Fortress, the publisher.
Yes.
Yeah. We had one that was a lady who worked in the archives for the ELCA. So deaconesses have all kinds of roles, and they are doing God's love and light in the world with their hands and their feet. And
right.
so,
And it used to be just for women.
yes.
For single women who used to be for single women who dedicated their lives to the service of ministry, but it was not like the convent type of being a nun, because you could leave without any, bad feelings or hardships or whatever. And so it's nice that they have now allowed, you're married, you have a family, and so it's no longer just single women.
No, and they no longer own centers or mother houses.
Right.
The community, the ELCA has a rich history. That's celebrating this weekend the 140th anniversary of the community, and it's about 85 sisters across. It is people who know themselves as female are in the community for the ELCA Deaconess community, and it's across Canada. Got folks in Alaska, Florida, all over the country. About 85.
Yeah, I know some used to be missionaries and serve in foreign countries. And my great aunt was worked in at the time it was called an orphanage and an old folks home.
Yes.
So she worked in that kind of a setting for many years. So it does have a rich tradition coming in, but it's all about service. And in many, many other areas, because some were nurses, worked in hospitals in the past and things like that as well. So the health and wellness aspect has always been there.
Right.
And you're bringing in something new to that.
Yes.
Yeah. So this series of Beyond the Halo, it talks about some of the struggles also that women have faced entering into ministry. And so, identifying for yourself what this call means, and then being able to kind of put the pieces together.
Right, right.
Like a great big jigsaw puzzle, where you don't have a picture that tells you exactly what it's supposed to be.
Which can be very exciting that there isn't a picture. Like there's a lot of room for creativity. There's a lot of room for innovation, but also at the same time, there is no money, right? To support something that's brand new, you have to be creative for funding or how to get the message of self-care out in front of people, or people that are very busy and very and carry a lot of responsibilities, burdens, stress, so.
Right. Yeah. So are there any roadblocks that you have experienced? Yes, the funding is a serious one, but are there any other roadblocks that you have experienced along the way?
I would say the idea that it's a new idea. Some people are opposed to when you try to change or introduce a new way of thinking. A lot of people are kind of like open to the concept of promoting wellness, but not to the point that we need to reduce any productivity, or like if you just look at the seminary process in general, it's not healthy. You're staying up all hours to do to read and to perform and to produce, and yet we were made to be human beings and God and be with God, and not human doings like we are. So yeah, just that it's really countercultural, to stop and to say how much self-care is sacred.
Yeah, it is. And you're right, it is countercultural. We're in a country where it's all about you earn your way and you got to do and do and do and do.
Right.
And we kind of look askance and critical of those who don't.
Yeah, it's just like how you have that Mary and Martha kind of concept. We kind of look at the idea of Mary. Oh, that's important. Yes, we're supposed to be at the feet of God, but we have kitchen responsibilities. Come on, it's time to clean up. We have the to do. So it's hard to put our time and our resources and our money where that big idea lies.
Yeah, and even within our own personal lives, to take time to stop. And people with a busy family, lots of, parents are just stretched to the limit these days. And with all the comings and goings and things like that, and even with children.
Yes.
To teach them that it's good to stop.
It is. It's healthy. It's we were made to stop. Sabbath, Shabbat.
Yeah. And most people, the Shabbat's rest, and it's not just sleeping at night.
Right.
It's taking the time and things like that. So this kind of goes with some of the reflections I have in my book that will be coming out shortly. It's called Tilted Halo. And I always forget the subtitle. Tilted Halo, Exposing the Truth of Women in Ministry and Untold Stories. So it can be available for pre-sale, but the real launch is going to be early time next year. But stories like yours are so important for people to hear. And that's why I'm doing this little series this week about, some of these stories people never hear about.
Yeah.
And, to know what a deaconess is, and the new kind of ministry that can be so exciting.
Yes.
To bring into a congregation. And I know you've offered like chair yoga for older people, so you don't have to try and sit down on the floor and do downward dog or whatever it's called. Some of the yoga poses that as we get a little older, the body just doesn't want to come back.
Just come with the body that you have today and move and breathe, like you said, and grow from there.
Right. And that helps to loosen up the body that we have today.
Yes.
And things
lotion
like that.
is the lotion.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming and sharing with me and with all those who view this now and in the future to share what you are doing and some of your story and the wonder of you hearing that call.
Yes, thank you so very much for the opportunity to share.
You're very, very welcome. And I look forward to hearing more about how that ministry develops,
Yes.
some of the things you're doing, and the exciting opportunities that are there. So, blessings to you for a wonderful Thanksgiving, and to your family as well, and to all of those who are watching. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. Take care.